Welcome, everyone. Very happy to have you here. This is a Hertfordshire Community Transport Virtual Volunteer Fair. I am talking on behalf of CHH, the Community Help Hertfordshire. We have five different community services here today, talking about what they do as far as community transport, talking about um, how this amazing work helps and impacts the community positively, and how you can be rewarding if you help our community through the community transport drivers, right? Volunteer jobs. Uh, we're going to have 10 minutes for each one of the presenters to talk about their services, about what they do, and about the opportunities they have. And at the end, we're going to have a Q&A session open for you. But please feel free to raise your hand or put anything in the chat. We'll be happy to respond to your questions. So just to share what we have. This is the lineup. So the first center that is going to talk to us is Community Action Dacorum. Then we have at 12:20 Communities First, 12:30 North Herts and Stevenage CVS, 12:40 Watford and Three Rivers Trust, 12:50 Welwyn and Hatfield CVS, 1 o'clock GoVolHerts, we are going to be talking about how to apply for these volunteer roles. And then at 1:10, we have a Q&A session, right? Just for a couple of minutes if you have anything to ask. So let's start then to hear the good things. I'm going to start with Loretta from Community Action Dacorum. So I will start with her just playing a video that she brought for us today. So let me just make sure that I am sharing the right screen with you. Here we go.
Good morning and welcome to Radio Dacorum. We're doing some special programs at the moment regarding the community transport needs within our own area and also across the broader area of Hertfordshire. Across the UK, there are hundreds of organisations dedicated to delivering community transport services with the help of thousands of wonderful volunteers. Hertfordshire too has many organisations dependent upon the time and efforts of volunteers to assist in bringing these services to those who are vulnerable and isolated due to age or physical mobility issues. The mission of all our organisations is to provide essential transport services to those who need it most. We urgently need more volunteer drivers to help us continue this vital work.
Thanks for listening to Radio Dacorum. Today we're talking about community transport and particularly the reasons that we do that here at the charity. I'm going to get you to introduce yourselves, ladies.
Hello, my name's Ruth McShane.
Hello, I'm Denise Marsh.
And so, Ruth, why are you here? What's your link with community transport?
I use them every Thursday to go to the MS Centre, and they're very nice.
She says the nice.
At least one of them is, yeah. And so, why are you here, Denise?
I'm here. I'm old and retired, and was bored sitting at home and felt I wanted to give back to the community on my terms. I am a busy person, but I still have time to be able to devote to other people and to helping other people. I choose when I want to work, so that's really my idea.
I suppose it makes me feel better. I'm just not sitting around doing nothing. I'm doing something useful for people.
And the camaraderie, the socialization with the other chauffeurs. It's exciting apart from anything else.
And so it kind of reduces social isolation.
Well, absolutely, I couldn't agree more.
But they do enjoy it because they can have a chat together.
To be honest, we do talk a little bit of rubbish while we're going there. We're like friends, really.
When you take somebody on a regular basis, you get to know that person and you become closer.
So if anybody's listening who got a little bit of time to just to run somebody somewhere, and as I say, we're desperate for minibus drivers.
If you can help and you'd like to help, try and get in contact with Tad and help.
There's need for more people to become drivers, to join the team and to enjoy that ability to go out and take people to things where they really need to be. The demand currently stretches across the whole of the county, so anywhere in Hertfordshire could be somewhere that needs you.
That's amazing. Thank you, Loreto, for providing us with this beautiful video. So please feel free. Great.
So,
Yeah. Feel free to just talk a little bit about your
okay.
services, right?
Okay. So I'm Loretta Anderson. I'm head of communities at Community Action Dacorum, and as our video said, put together with our volunteers and some of our users, it's just so needed. We need more drivers all the time. We can never get enough, and I feel like they said it themselves. The volunteers and the users said it themselves. How important it is that we get more. So if there's anybody in the Dacorum area that is interested in driving, you can either pop into the Volunteer Centre in the Marlows in Hemel, or you can email volunteering@communityactiondacorum.org.uk. We'd love to hear from you. Any questions from anybody? Has anybody got questions about Dacorum specifically that I could answer?
Feel free to raise your hand, or if you're too shy to talk, you can ask through the chat function. Great.
Okay,
So
well,
maybe later on when we have our Q&A session, right?
Yeah, lovely.
Thank
you for
Loretta.
watching.
That's great. So our next presenter is Jeremy from Communities First. Jeremy, would you like to share with us your presentation and talk a little bit about your services?
Yep. Hopefully it's sharing. It says it's loading. Can you see it?
Yes, we can.
Yep, perfect. Okay. Hi everyone. I'm Jeremy. I'm the volunteer liaison officer at Communities First. Communities First is the volunteer centre for St Albans, Hertsmere, Broxbourne and East Herts. So we provide volunteers to our member organisations and also our internal volunteer roles in these areas. So if you're from any of these areas and you're looking to do any community transport, then do get in touch with us. We do advertise our roles through various different ways. So we have our website where you'll be able to see all the roles listed. And we also have a monthly newsletter that goes out with fresh roles that you can browse through. In terms of some of the organisations we recruit for, it's very varied, and a lot of these organisations need different sort of drivers. So you've got places like Hertsmere Mencap, which help, they need drivers to help take their clients to community groups. You've got Age UK to support older people, Hearts Vision to get to their community groups. And then we've also got St Albans Good Neighbour Scheme, who help with lots of different services in the St Albans area. So the types of roles that we have, so yeah, as mentioned, we've got minibus drivers. They can range from taking people to community groups, to places to shop, all different sorts of ways that we need minibus drivers. We've also got car drivers that a lot of our members recruit for, so they take people to different appointments. Transport drivers, so for example, one of the our members are the food banks, so they're always looking for people to take the food to one place to another. Or we've got charity shops like Emmaus who always need drivers to help transfer some of their furniture which they use that they sell on. And then we also need transport escorts who kind of help people, not necessarily drivers, but they help people on the bus, maybe get, if they're too, they can't access the bus on their own, they might need a little bit of help. That's also what we're looking for. And then just to mention our Let's Give platform, which is a reverse volunteer platform. So if you can't find any driving roles specifically at the moment, you can always put your role profile onto our website. So on there, you can list like your skills, what you're interested in, why you think you'll be a good volunteer, and all our member organisations can go through that and see if there's a match up for what they're looking for. So doesn't mean you have to do all the looking yourself. You can always put yourself out there and someone might come to you. I'm now going to pass over to my colleague Tundi, who is going to talk a little bit about our internal roles that we have for community transport.
Thank you so much, Jeremy. Hi everyone, I'm Tunde Zilda. I'm Services Manager at Communities First. And just very briefly, I will talk about the services that we offer and what volunteering opportunities come with these services. And then in the end, I'll just talk briefly about a case study that I thought it would be useful to share. So we offer day trips in Hertfordshire and Welwyn and Hatfield districts currently, and these day trips are entirely led by volunteer minibus drivers, and I have to say they really enjoy it as well. So they can already feel how much they get back from it as well. These day trips are to local attractions on Mondays and Wednesdays usually, but sometimes Christmas time or summer times we do more than one a week as well. And volunteer drivers are really helpful, and we are always looking for more volunteer minibus drivers for these day trips. Volunteer minibus drivers can help with shopper bus trips as well. We run the shopper bus trips in different areas, and most of them are Monday to Friday. And we also have a community bus to the Jim McDonald Day Centre in Welwyn and Hatfield, which we do use our drivers, but again, volunteer drivers can help with that as well. And of course, the community car driving, which is in Hertfordshire, and this is to medical and social appointments, which is with their own car. So volunteers would use their own car to help with this service. Volunteers are the lifeblood of everything that we do. So if you are in any of these, well, if you are in the areas that Jeremy have mentioned and you have some availability, please feel free to reach out. And if you feel like driving a little bit scares you at the moment, but you might be up for it later, you can start as a bus buddy. You can always help people just to come along and socialize as well, see how it goes, and to build your confidence as well. You don't have to straight away come in and go and drive if you're not there yet, but you can always just build your confidence and get into it. And Jeremy, if you could please move to the next slide, I'll just talk about the case study to see how big of an impact volunteering can make. We have a lady called Anne for the purpose of this case study. She used to go on our shopper bus for years from Hertfordshire to London Colney. Actually, they go on Thursdays, and unfortunately, her mobility decreased so much that she was no longer able to attend. And she didn't feel comfortable on the shopper bus anymore because of the limited mobility. So one of our community car drivers took on this this opportunity and have taken her to shops and taken her to the welcome spaces that we do weekly. So regardless in what capacity you can help, whether that's a minibus driver or you want to use your own car or you just want somebody to not be alone to provide company, volunteers can make a huge difference throughout someone's life. So we have known this lady for many years, and we are very grateful that just because she had to stop using one of the services that we offer, we didn't let her down. We were able, with the help of another volunteer, we were able to keep supporting her. And actually that's the volunteer Liz who picked up on that. So I thought it's worth if I put her picture in the power presentation. Thank you so much, and we leave our contact details here, and if any questions either to me or Jeremy, please feel free to ask.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Any questions? That was very nice to hear about the impact, right, that the community drivers have within our community. Very interesting. So next we have John from North Herts and Stevenage CVS. Welcome, John. Feel free to start your presentation.
Thank you. Right. Okay, can everybody see that? Wonderful.
Yes.
Thank you. Okay, well, yes, I'm John and I'm the project lead at the North Herts and Stevenage Community Transport Service. So we are just a car service. So just to make that point clear at the beginning, but we're an extremely busy car service with about 70 volunteer drivers, averaging about 100 or so bookings a week. But we are in need, as I'm sure all the other organisations are, of more help. I just really wanted to share a little bit more about our role that we have on offer here at North Herts and Stevenage. So we are a service that supports residents across North Herts and Stevenage, including Hitchin, Letchworth, Baldock, the whole of Stevenage and the surrounding villages. So that's the area that we support. We have a dedicated team of volunteers who they all use their own cars to transport passengers to a range of appointments at hospitals, at clinics, at surgeries, at dentists, at health centres, a range of different health and medical appointments. And also the social aspect is very important to our service. We help by taking people to their weekly groups at day centres, exercise classes, and also we're taking a lot of people who are living with dementia to their support groups every week. So we see the social aspect of our service as a vital one, as well as the medical appointments, certainly since the pandemic. The service that we operate is aimed at individuals who do not drive and they're unable to use other passenger transport for a variety of reasons that I've listed there. And a lot of the time it's also because there's no alternative transport that is available to our local residents. And I really want to emphasise that this role is a very, very flexible role. It's hugely enjoyable. You give the time that you want to give. It could be just one day a week, or maybe a couple of mornings a week, or it could be much more. It's the time that you want to give to it. We're all busy people. And we have busy lives, and also the availability that you give can change as well. It doesn't have to be a set time every week or a set day. It can really chop and change to suit your needs, and I think that's the real draw about the volunteer driver role, is that it is that flexible. And obviously it's a very sociable role, and you will meet lots of new people, and these people are, a lot of them are quite isolated, quite lonely people, and as a volunteer driver you might be the only person they speak to that day. So it's not always just about the transport, it is about that social interaction which we all need in our lives. So that's just a little photograph of the team that run the service. We have on the far left a volunteer who comes into the office to help, a lady called Karen. And she helps on a Friday morning, and she's a tremendous help working with the team. And then we have, to Karen's right, we have Melanie, who's our coordinator, working with me 5 days a week. And then the two ladies in the middle, we have Lynn and Opal, who are also office volunteers who come in and support the team with phone calls and helping to take bookings. They're a tremendous help, and we're so blessed to have them. And then on the far right, that's me there in the blue jumper. And then on the far right, we have Alfie. Now, Alfie's recently joined us as a social media volunteer. So Alfie does all of our social media. He's a tremendous young man who's really taken to the role, and he helps us to promote our service on the socials. Here are just some of our volunteers. So you can see there that we have a range of community car volunteer drivers with us. As I said earlier, we have about close to 70 volunteer drivers, and there's just a few photos of our wonderful volunteers. And there's just a few photos there of some of our volunteer drivers with their clients. Here's a little focus on one of our volunteers called Joe. Joe is a volunteer from the village of Ashwell, and you can see there that she says that she's retired and she wanted to give some more time to a worthwhile cause. She lost her father to dementia, and he was using a community transport service. So she really kind of related to the service that we offer. And there's a little focus there on David. David's from Hitchin, and he's been a volunteer with us for about a year. And he says there that it's very satisfying and rewarding. We have an excellent booking system, and he likes the fact that the role is flexible, and it just meets his circumstances. And he goes on to say that it was a good way for him to give something back to the community in his retirement. And it is a role that very much does that. It just does that. You really do feel like you're giving back to a real need. And then we just have some quotes there from our service users, and we always like to celebrate and keep those wonderful quotes and share them as much as we can, because it does remind us that we are doing a great job, and you know, we're blessed that we have our clients that are really happy with what we're delivering. We also, a few times a year, we have a volunteer social gathering where we come together to celebrate what we do and to say thank you to the volunteers. And we buy them a drink and we just say thank you. And it's an opportunity for the volunteers to catch up and meet one another, because they don't really get to meet one another. So that's really, really a lovely thing to do. There's our contact details. We're on Facebook, and we're recently joined Instagram as well. And we have our website there as well, that I encourage those people in North Herts and Stevenage to go and have a look at. Now I'm hoping this will work. It's just a very, very short clip of Brenda, who's one of our volunteer drivers. I'm just going to see if this works. Bear with me. Perhaps Tatiana, you could give me the thumbs up if all that's okay at your end.
Sure. Yeah, we're waiting for the video to play right now.
Okay.
If you like, John, you can post on the chat, and then I'll play the video for you if that's helpful.
Okay. Is anything moving at your end?
No.
No? Okay. Okay, I think what I might do then is just post the video on the chat then. Are you getting anything at all, Tatiana, in terms of a visual?
No, I just see the same slide.
The same slide, okay.
Yeah. So if you just copy that link and post in the chat, and then I can just play for everyone.
Right, okay. So sorry about that. I'll put that little clip in. It's worth watching. If you've got a minute or two, it's worth watching that little clip. But I'm delighted to say that we're actually joined, hopefully we've got a few more minutes, we're joined by one of my volunteer drivers, Alison. Now Alison is a wonderful volunteer from Hitchin, and we invited her to join today's meeting just to give us a few comments and words on sort of how she finds being a volunteer driver firsthand. So can you hear me okay, Alison?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, well, welcome, Alison. So perhaps just briefly, Alison, you could just share with everyone how long you've been a volunteer driver and why you applied to do it, and why do you do it, and sort of what do you get from the role, and how do you find it?
Right, okay, well, I'll keep this short. I've been doing it about 4 years. I started about 6 months after my dad passed away, and like a lot of your other volunteers, I'd had a lot of help when my parents were ill, and I felt that I wanted to give something back to my local area. And I found out about your service, and what really attracted me was the fact that you could give as much or as little time as you wanted, and it was so easy to sign up and to become a volunteer. So I do it once a week. I do it on a Thursday, and so I tend to have my regular sort of people that I take to either dementia daycare, or I take to standalone farm, or I take to hospital appointments or dental appointments. And so I do get to know these people, and we generally have a good laugh in the car, actually, because most of them are good fun. I actually take one gentleman who's now got dementia, who used to be a volunteer driver himself, which is quite interesting. So we do have a little chat about that. And I just really enjoy it. I get a lot out of it. Everybody's always appreciative, which is always nice. So I have a lovely day with them, and I've done something for them, and they've got something out of it, and it's a win-win all round. And I have to say, I'm just going to say, John and his team are absolutely fabulous, and they make it very, very easy. And I think it was a brilliant idea when they introduced the socials, because I actually get to meet some of the other drivers, which is really nice too. So thumbs up from me.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Alison, and for joining us and for your time and just sharing how you find it all. It's great to have you on the team. So that's really our service. I hope I've kind of captured everything there. I'll pop the little video clip in, but I will just mention as well that all of our volunteers, which I'm sure is also the case for all the other services, our volunteer drivers do have an enhanced DBS check, and we do also have professional references as well. So the screening process is very tight and important to us, as I'm sure it is for all the other services. And some of you may be wondering about insurance, if it affects your own insurance policy. It doesn't, it shouldn't. You're volunteering for a charity, so it shouldn't affect your own personal insurance policy, but the other services can also guide you on that as well. But that's enough from me. And any questions? No, well,
we have a few questions on the chat, but because they're broad for everyone, I'm gonna wait until the end of the sessions. But thank you, John. Thank you, Alison. Really inspiring to hear from a volunteer, right? And knowing how you feel doing this job, right? Thank you very much. That's good. If you want later on to put the chat on the chat, the link for the video, John, please feel free. Also, I saw a question in the chat about sharing the slides. We will share the recording of this session today, so that hopefully will help you. Next presenter, we have Mohammed from Watford and Three Rivers Trust. Mohammed, welcome.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Mohammed Bashruddin. I am the coordinator for Watford and Three Rivers Trust. And basically my role is literally doing everything in one. So I answer the phone calls, I take the bookings, and literally put hands on. We cover Watford and the Three Rivers district. So, I mean, if we have a look at, so literally we cover like WD18 across the whole region. And we are different to everybody else because we give back to we reimburse our drivers. We pay 60p per driver from their home address to the destination of the client. And from the client, we give, it carries on until their destination. So for an example, if it's from, say, Watford to another address in South Doxy, we covered that mileage. And then from that address to St Albans, we cover that as well. So literally it's a full on 65p per mile journey. We also cover hospital appointments locally and outside of the area. Other health-related activities, i.e. social gatherings, doctor's appointments, blood clinics, etc. And also social trips as well. So literally it could be anything, like going into London for a day trip, or Eastbourne. We had a client who went to Eastbourne. So yeah, we cover literally everything. Last year we supported over 1,500 individuals with over 2,000 journeys. Da, da, da. I mean, why volunteer with W3RT? It is simply giving back to the community, opportunity to help people stay socially active and support older people stay healthy too. And the most important thing is you do meet new people. I mean, myself, I covered 1 or 2 journeys and I met really, I mean, it hit my heart because, I mean, I've lost my dad 26 years ago. And this gentleman just was literally, he reminded me of my dad, put it that way. And it really hit me. But no, I mean, it was just amazing how I met new people. And also, I mean, we offer full training as well. So literally, when you become a volunteer, we can literally give you ongoing support. And as I said earlier, we cover your food expenses as well. So there's nothing we cannot do for you. And at the end of the day, it is total freedom and flexibility in what you pick and choose. I mean, whether you give a day or minutes, hours, anything, we can pay to you for you, as long as you can help us out as well. I mean, the feedback we get from our community service users, as you can read, I mean, our volunteer experience literally says, I enjoy getting clients to their appointments on time and making sure they get back home safely. You get to meet a wide variety of people from all walks of life. Everyone has a story to tell you. So literally, that is really, it does hit you when you look at it in that sense. Also, I mean, we had a service user as well, who's mainly Taz's client. And as she stated, she gets entertained by the drivers themselves and they share a lot of things together. And I mean, this is our contact details. So if you are interested in becoming a driver for us, feel free to contact us and we can move forward with you.
Thank you, Mohammed. Very beautiful testimonial, right? And very good to know about the reimbursement of costs, right? And the mileage that is paid. This is very important, right? We are also sharing information about all the centers and their opportunities on the chat in the chat. So I've been sending links for you if you want to click and just check these opportunities and check how you can be in contact with the centers, right? Thank you, Mohammed. So our next speaker is Alison from Welwyn and Hatfield CVS. Alison, are you here? There she is. You're on mute. Okay.
Hi there. Good afternoon, everybody. Just having a bit of technical different. Hang on, let me just switch off my other mic. Right, sorry about that. So my name is Alison. I am the Welwyn and Hatfield Community Car Scheme Coordinator for the Welwyn and Hatfield area. So we cover anywhere between Codicott and Goffs Oak. And we have approximately 50 volunteers on our books at the moment, which is our record high. And we are always looking for volunteer drivers. What our criteria is, most of our drivers use their own vehicles, but we do have 2 disability vehicles that we're also looking for drivers for. So the criteria for volunteering with us would be 3 years minimum of driving. What else? To have your own insurance, own MOT. And we do the DBS background check, enhanced check for you, and we would need a couple of references. Like most volunteering, ours is very flexible. You can do that around your schedule. We do have people on our books that work and, do it around that. We have one lady who just does Monday afternoons, and then we have other drivers who are flexible all week. And so they pick and choose when they want to drive. We do reimburse for every mile that you do, and it covers from your house and back again. And any other expenses like ULEZ, you do get reimbursed for that also, and congestion charge. We cover the congestion charge costs due to having congestion charge accounts, blue badge accounts. So we can make your vehicle exempt for that day if you did decide to drive into London. You can choose where and how far you want to drive. So people will drive locally. People have chosen that they want to drive as far as Eastbourne. So it's all up to you. We do ask those questions when you join, what your preferences are, if you're able to lift a wheelchair or not. So we do have drivers that will only drive, and we do have drivers that will do basically like the wheelchair trips as well. We do provide training. So in fact, things like moving, handling, so any kind of training that that helps with the community car scheme, we will offer that, and that is on us as well. And I do have a volunteer here with us who's actually celebrating his 20th year of volunteering. So Richard, if you'd like to join us. And he's just going to tell you a little bit about what he gets out of volunteering with us, the Welwyn and Hatfield CVS.
Oh, good morning. My name's Richard. I live in Codicott, and I'd be very pleased to say that this is my 20th year of driving for the car scheme. I've always enjoyed driving all my life, but what gave me an idea was my mother died at the beginning of this century, and I'd been taking her around to hospitals and helping her out. And I felt, and I had been retired for a couple of years. I was lucky to retire relatively early in life, and I wanted something to do with my time. I've always been a person that likes to keep busy, not sit down and waste time. So I inquired about driving. I think I spoke to Alison all those years ago, and oh, excuse me. Oh. That's awkward. Let me just switch this off. Right. I've forgotten what I was saying now.
You spoke to me.
I spoke to Alison, and she said, "We'll sign up, and we will give you some trips." And I think I had to go through the DVS scheme, and I started off just taking. I think the first lady was a woman with her autistic child to a music lesson. And I've done all sorts of both local and long distance journeys since then. I have volunteered over weekends as well, but my wife is now retired, and we prefer not that I don't drive over weekends. So I volunteer Monday to Thursday, and Friday I catch up with other things. But I enjoy it. I'm very happy. I get the opportunity to meet a lot of people. I'm getting on a bit now, but I'm still able to carry wheelchairs. Before coming here this morning, I've taken a lady to do some sports exercises, and she's got an electric wheelchair, which I was able to put in the boot of my car, get it out at the Gosling Centre, and then wait for her and take her home again. There's all sorts of people, both male and female, and sometimes you get husband and wife coming. Occasionally you get the children, but not so much that. I find it rewarding, satisfying. I prefer people to sit in the front so that you can talk. I feel if they sit in the back, I feel a bit like a taxi driver, but sometimes people want to sit in the back and just get on with something else. But overall, I've found it very rewarding. I've accumulated a lot of trips, a lot of contacts from friends, and I have a lot of regular repeat customers that I take to similar places each day or each week. So I would recommend anybody who's got their own car and who wants to fulfill, an activity to get you out of the house. It's something I do all the year round. It's not very nice when it's wet and cold and snowing, but I will still do that. It's much more enjoyable when you get the sun, if we get the sun. So I can't say to anybody more than have a go, try it out. Obviously, if you enjoy it, you don't have to, you're not committed, you don't have to do it forever. You can dip and dive. I go away quite a bit, so sometimes I have to tell Alison I can't manage next week. But I'm always pleased to come back and carry on driving. So anybody listening who wants or is thinking about it, don't hesitate, just try it. And you may or may not like it, but you might find 20 years later you're talking on a Zoom call or whatever we have then. I don't know if I'll be around in 20 years, but who knows? I highly recommend it, so please give it a go. So I'll hand you back to Alison now, who might want to say a few final words.
Yeah, thank you very much, Richard.
Okay.
And you can stay there. And the trips that we do cover, Richard has actually taken someone to Eastbourne to attend their father's funeral. So, like I say, as far or as close, doesn't matter. And the trips that we do cover, mostly medical appointments. We do day centres, and like Richard said, he took someone to an exercise class, and she does that for health reasons due to her disabilities. And day centre, visiting people there, visiting relatives at hospitals, stuff like that. So as long as you're based in the Welwyn and Hatfield area, we're looking for drivers that can transport people to those destinations.
Amazing. Thank you, Alison. Thank you, Richard. And congratulations on your big milestone of 20 years.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Yeah, that's unbelievable. That's amazing. Thank you so much for the help you do. That's great. So before we move to the questions, and I think we have a few questions, and I also have some questions for our presenters. I just wanted to show you how to find some of these opportunities. I have added the link to the opportunities in the chat, but I will share my screen. So I am the volunteer development manager here at GoVolHerts. We work together with the CHH, with the Community Help Hertfordshire. We are a free digital platform where we can show, we can connect volunteers and organizations, different types of volunteer opportunities. But specifically, if you want to find these opportunities as a car driver, so it's very easy. Just access www.govolherts.org.uk, and then you're just gonna go here and click I want to volunteer. When you click I want to volunteer, you see a list of opportunities, different types of volunteer opportunities. Everything is free in our digital platform, right? So no worries. So what we're gonna do is just come to the search bar and just let's try to write driver. And then you will see a list of opportunities. Here we see the ones that John talked about. We see Community Dacorum here too. Welwyn and Hatfield. We have all the opportunities that we discussed today. You can use this bar also and type your postcode or your address or the name of your town, and then it's going to refine this search. If you find an opportunity, you're just going to come here and click on that opportunity. So you see here, we're talking about the minibus drivers. You can read the description of this opportunity and also what volunteers need. So I know we had a couple of questions about the DBS check. So we can find here that yes, it is a requirement. And then you're just going to click on join. When you click on join, you just need to create your account. It's very simple. Just click, just put your first name, last name, email, pick a password, your postcode, and then you create an account. Clicking on join, this organization, this CVS, will receive a message that you applied for the job, for the role, volunteer role, and they will contact you and go from there with all the process of hiring you as a volunteer. So it's very easy to find and apply for these opportunities, right? I'm going to stop sharing my screen. And so I would like just to open for the questions. I know we had some questions in the chat box. So first, Russell and also Bradley, they ask about the DBS check. Also, Russell asked, if we volunteer as a driver in our car, do we need any special additional insurance? And presumably, we need a DBS check. And Bradley also asked about the DBS check. Feel free, anyone from any of the CVSs and any of the presenters, to talk a little bit about the process of getting a DBS check and the insurance of the cars.
Okay, I can jump in there. With us, we do an enhanced DBS check for adults and children, and we do an online service. So we send a link out to the volunteers, and they will process that online. So you just need 3 forms of ID, and the list is there, and you choose those 3, and those are the ones that we will verify and get that DBS process started. Once the application has been completed, then a hard copy is usually sent to the volunteer, and then we have a copy of that here. References, we require 2 names for references, that preferably not family. So maybe someone professional or a friend, neighbour, something like that is what we would ask for. Regarding the insurance company is notified that you're using your vehicle for voluntary stuff. And like I said before, no costs should be incurred by that. But if there is a change, then we do reimburse for that. We will pay for that. So no costs incurred by volunteers.
Great to know. Any other of the speakers would like to just add anything to this process? Because I understand that maybe process could be a little bit different in different areas, but overall it should be the same process for the DBS check, right? Great. Good. I hope this answers Russell and Bradley's questions, but please feel free to raise your hand or add something else to the chat. Also, we have a question saying, is a normal car driving license sufficient for minibus transport drivers, or do you need something specific to be a driver for the regular car drive and the minibus?
Well, certainly for the car scheme, you know, if you're a car volunteer driver, your own personal license that you use to drive your car is absolutely fine. Perhaps Alison or someone else can just come in to share what's needed for driving a larger vehicle.
Right, as far as I understand, anything from a 9-seater and below, you could just use your own driving license. Anything above, you have to have a D1 license. Correct me if I'm wrong.
I can. That is right. But here at Community Action Dacorum, we got both sizes of minibuses, so we're able to provide the sort of 16-seater minibuses with drivers, or if people haven't got in their license, we have got the smaller ones too. We've also got WAV vehicles, which is like 1 wheelchair and 3 passengers and things like that. So there's a huge variation on the type of vehicles, and that works around whatever licenses people have got. I think they just took off the, it used to be that everybody got the D1, but I don't know how many years ago, about 10 years ago, it didn't come on as an automatic on licenses. So I think we'll be getting probably more and more of the smaller ones so that everybody can use them, because as time goes on, we're going to lose the people from the other end who haven't got the D1. Does that cover that? Does anybody got any questions?
Yes, I just have a complemented one. Is there any age limits for the drivers for minibuses?
I believe it might be different depending on the insurance of each organisation. I think you'd have to check with each of the areas, because I know we had a restriction on ours for a while, and our insurance lifted it higher after a while. So I think in each case they'd need to check.
Great. So yeah, if you're interested and if you have any other questions, you can contact the CVS regarding your area, because then you know exactly what are the requirements. But talking a little bit of requirements, besides of the DBS check, the referrals, is there in the driver's license, of course, is there anything else that is a requirement to be in this volunteer role? Do you need any type of training or know how to deal with people? Is there anything else that is required from the volunteers? Loretta?
Certainly with our minibuses, we do training on getting, because the platform on the back, getting wheelchairs on and off, securing the wheelchairs once they're on there. So anyone who's doing minibuses would get extra training around that.
Great. The other centers, the other speakers, any other type of training that you support, that you give, and any type of support that you have for the volunteers, or any type of requirements, additional requirements? John, please.
Yeah, I think obviously it's common sense that to be a volunteer of any vehicle, you have to be sort of fit and healthy to drive. And we're asked quite a lot, actually, is there an age cut-off for being a volunteer driver? And certainly we don't have an age cut-off, certainly for our service. But as long as the DVLA are happy to renew your licence and that you're fit and healthy, we sometimes ask if someone is returning after a long period off because of ill health, maybe just to have a doctor's note or a medical note, just to make sure that the medical professionals are happy for that individual to carry on with their driving. So that's good practice sometimes, just to have that in place. But in terms of training, yes, I mean, certainly I'm sure it's the same for the other services, we invite our new volunteer drivers in for a full induction, which is really an opportunity to go through the service and cover a range of different areas of the role and provide them with guidance and support. And that's very much an ongoing thing that we provide for all of our volunteers. We're always at the end of a phone, an email, and we see the ongoing support of our volunteers really, really important, so that they feel supported and safe. We have various policies as well that we provide for our volunteers. One recent one is lone working, which is a very important policy that we've recently issued, because it is a role where you're going to be a lot of the time on your own. So we provide training, we provide policies, a lot of information, just to make sure that our volunteers feel supported. And that's very much an ongoing thing, because as I'm sure we'll all agree, the retention of volunteers is so important, that they feel valued and loved. Thanks.
Awesome.
The training that we offer, I said the movement and handling. We also offer like first aid training and dementia training, because we do transport quite a few people with dementia to their support groups and stuff like that. So any training that the volunteers ask or request, we make that happen.
Awesome. Tunde?
Oh, sorry, I think I phrased. Why, sorry, that was a mistake. I just wanted to add as well that when someone volunteers to drive a minibus, we of course give full training on the particular minibus that they're going to drive. So we show them how to do the tail lift and ramp and all sorts of whatever is relevant. So they get training on that. And some volunteers are brand new to that, so they find it as well as a learning. So it's really, really good. And I'm sure it will come up, the Midas training, which is being able to transport people in the wheelchair. So if a volunteer driver, a minibus driver, is not trained according to the Midas standard, then they are unable to transport people who are in the wheelchair, even if the vehicle is wheelchair accessible. So I think that's very important, and I'm sure those who have minibuses know about this training. So this is a formal qualification that they would get from us.
Great. Loretta?
Yeah, part of our induction as well is for our minibus drivers to do an assessment in the minibus. It's not a test, it's an assessment, and to give them advice. So they go out on the road before they do anything else. So, which is quite useful because they then get a real feel. Because, like was said, they may never have driven anything bigger than a car before. So they get all of that support on top of all the other bits of training. So there's plenty of help and plenty of support.
That's great. So it's great to know that you're not going to feel like not supported, right? This is an important role, and all the services, all the centers take this very seriously and are there to support you. Great. So Jacob asked, I was wondering how many hours a typical transport takes on average just for scheduling purposes. Also, apart from the driver, does anyone else come along to help with passengers who require additional support?
I'm happy
So
to jump in here.
great,
If that's
thank you.
okay. So the first part of the question, it really depends what sort of opportunity do you accept. If you accept a community car booking, for example, for a social or a medical appointment, that can be a shorter, a single trip that you just take somebody to an appointment, whether to the hospital or to a day center, doesn't really matter. That can be an hour of your time. If you accept to take them back home as well, then it can be another hour later on the day. Or if you accept a minibus trip, it can be a couple of hours during the day. So for example, a day trip for us lasts about 5 hours on average. So you go out 9 o'clock, pick up people, take them to the local attraction, then have lunch with them, and then take them back home. So it really, really depends on the type of opportunity you accept. And I think this is laid out when you are presented with this volunteering opportunity, you should be given an estimated time for it. And second part of the question, sometimes we have carers coming along for people who are on our minibuses, whether that's a shopper bus trip or day trip or community bus. And same with the community car, carers might come along if someone needs that additional support. But sometimes we notice that beneficiaries, how we like to call them, are quite proud and they don't think that they need that additional support, but we think that they might need. So we asked another volunteer to come and accompany them on the bus and help them fetch items in the supermarket. So as a volunteer, when you go along and you're not sure, you should feel confident to ask whoever is giving you that opportunity, does the person need extra support? Do I need to make sure of anything else? Is there something else I need to know? And then if they say, yes, she seems to be a bit slower, so you might need to do this, then you can ask, is there a chance, especially if you take that opportunity on for the first time, is there a possibility a bus buddy can come along with me so that you don't feel alone in that situation? So I think that's okay. So yeah, I hope I answered the question.
Loretta, you want to add something?
Yes, just a little bit. Our shopping trips and our day trips or trips out always have an escort on, for just the reason that was just said. You know, sometimes people think they're okay, but just getting up and down the steps, they may have trouble. So we do. And we've actually got quite a few couples, volunteer couples, that one of them drives and one of them's the escort. And they enjoy the days out. They go and do the trips. They, you know, support everybody. But and if they do those trips, if it's a theatre or whatever, their being in the theatre is covered in the cost of it all. So they get to go to the theatre or lunch or whatever it is with the people on the bus. And they love it because it really is something you can do together in retirement, which is very nice. Just wanted to add that.
And actually, it was really nice to hear that, right? Because you're doing something to help others, but you're also socializing and you making yourself occupied, right? So that's great.
Yeah,
That's
I
great
mean,
to
we
hear.
had some volunteers sign up here only a few weeks ago who are not quite retired yet, and they're really excited about going out doing these things, and it gives them a social life as well as helping, which is
Absolutely.
and to do it together, if that's what you want to do, then that's really nice too, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah, especially after COVID, when we all got affected somehow about like with isolation and not socializing the way we used to in the past, right? So it's a very nice way to restart that social life that most of us lost something with that, right? Great.
I'd just like to elaborate a little bit on that. So when people register with us, we ask them a bunch of questions. And so we'll ask them, are they going to be accompanied? And so this information will always be on their booking. But when they call to make a booking, we ask them which department of the hospital that they're going in, because over the years you get to know that a cataract operation, for example, is going to be 4 hours. We'd never ask a driver to wait that long, so we'll do that as a drop-off and a pickup. If someone's able to just do the drop-off and not able to do the return 4 hours later, then we'll see if we get another driver. So that's how flexible this all can be. A routine outpatient appointment, we usually allow about an hour and a half. So you can factor that into your day. We know that, urology is about 3 hours. So these are things that you kind of gain over the years. So this information is passed over to the volunteer so they can plan their day.
Lovely. Ray also asked, if taking client into London, do you also cover the low emission zone and ultra low emission zone? Mohammed?
Yep. A couple of our drivers have got vehicles which are ULEZ compliant. So literally, it depends on the vehicle and the drivers. So our 2 drivers are ULEZ compliant. So yeah, I mean, we don't have any issues on our side to take anyone to London, because we do cover like hospital appointments in London. So yeah, that's covered in the vehicle they have at the time. So yeah.
Great. John, you want to add something?
Yes, yeah, pretty much the same really, that we we cover the congestion charge as well. So we have an account with Transport for London, and that enables us to register the vehicles onto the congestion charge. It's a free of charge discount that we have with Transport for London, which is fantastic. We also have office blue badges, so a lot of our clients, and I'm sure it's the same for all the services, some of the clients have their own blue badges, which can come in really handy when it comes to parking anywhere, locally or in London. But we have office blue badges as well, which are available to borrow, especially for London trips where parking can be very limited and the client may not have a blue badge. And yeah, certainly for the ULEZ, we're fortunate that we only have a couple of London drivers who have the slightly older vehicles. So they have to, we have to pay the £12.50. We do try and ask the client to cover that cost if possible, but if they aren't able to manage that additional charge, we try and we cover it ourselves. But it might slightly vary for each service. But yeah, ULEZ is something that we can cover and pop onto the auto pay system that we have.
Great, thank you. Rob asked, for driving to medical appointments, is driver required to escort the clients into the hospital and stay with the client throughout the visit? Or will hospital provide an escort and call driver when appointment is over and client needs collecting? John, please.
Yeah, I mean, I'll speak on behalf of my service. It will be it could be different for the others, but we have a period of 2 hours we ask our volunteers to wait for. Now, we don't expect them to sort of sit outside for 2 hours. They can use that waiting time as they wish. Some, use that time to, just have a coffee somewhere or go to the shopping centre or to a garden centre. Some are happy just to wait and read a book in their car. But we have a system where we have all of our volunteers have a collection card, we call it, with their phone number on. They give that to their client when they drop them off and ask them to call them when they're all finished, and then they'll go off and go back and collect them. But obviously, if it's a longer appointment of exceeding 2 hours, and it might be a social booking, that is a sort of a 10 till 3 booking. Of course, I think Alison mentioned it. The volunteer will go home, carry on with their day. And then go back at 3 o'clock. And those, as Alison said, really, a lot of our volunteers quite like those ones because they can go off and have a few hours to themselves and then go back later in the day. But it very much varies. As all health appointments, the timings always vary, don't they?
Great. So just to clarify, they don't need to go with the customer, right?
Yeah, so it will vary, and I'm sure again the other services will agree. Some of our passengers are more frail and more weak, and they do ask if possible, if they're travelling alone and not bringing a carer or a relative, they may ask the volunteer to just walk them into the building, and we ask the volunteer if they're comfortable just to take their arm and just walk them into the building and make sure they're safely in. So sometimes it will very much vary. Some people can just sort of get out the vehicle and they're on their way. Some passengers, clients will need, a bit more assistance, and the volunteer may need to sort of consider the parking and just park up somewhere and then walk them in. So that does very much vary. But as Alison mentioned, we do put all of that information onto the booking sheet so that, the volunteers are well versed when they go and pick them up, so they know kind of what to expect. But obviously, with it being a transport service, we do ask our volunteers to expect the unexpected, because things do change and things do overrun and things are cancelled, and it's a bit like that on occasions.
Thank you, John.
One thing we wouldn't expect, though, from the volunteers is to go into the actual appointment with the actual client. So if they just want to, sit down with them and chat while they're waiting for the appointment, that's absolutely fine. Or like John says, go off and do something. If they're able-bodied to go into the building themselves, we allow that. But sometimes they do say, can the person sit and wait? If the volunteer is willing to do that, then we're happy that to go ahead, but not to go into the actual medical appointment with them.
Thank you. And Bradley asked, do the groups check drivers' ability and roadworthiness? Anyone would like to help me with that?
Perhaps you could just clarify the question a little bit more, if possible.
Bradley, would you like to unmute yourself and talk, or just add something to the chat, please?
Yeah, hi, good afternoon, everyone.
Hi.
Do you, I noticed that Loretta mentioned about checking people that need to drive the minibuses if they've never done it before. But what about people just driving their own cars? Look, I used to be a driving instructor, so many years ago, I know. But however, you're always aware of how people, we all think we're brilliant drivers. But how do you guys know people's ability, how they drive?
I think,
and especially for carrying passengers.
Yeah, I think, Bradley, it's a really good question, and I think a lot of it, certainly the way that we operate is run on a trust basis. We sort of trust our volunteers are healthy and good drivers, but obviously, we're not to know that sort of sitting in the office. But a lot of what we kind of gauge is based on feedback from our clients. So, we do ask our clients to, feedback to us if they have any concerns. That's something we take very seriously. So we sometimes have a survey that we give to our volunteers to have an opportunity to comment on their service and the experiences they're having. So we do look at feedback as a really important gauge in terms of if our volunteers are performing safely and well. There are probably other things we could do. For example, I think once it was mentioned to me about maybe when a volunteer is starting out, they might have a mentor or someone sitting alongside them, a bit like what you used to do. That's something that we kind of didn't take up really, but it is based on trust. It's based on feedback, certainly for us, and keeping in contact with our volunteers just to make sure that they're well and happy and healthy. But I think we're limited really to a point, possibly. I don't know if anyone else wants to add to that.
Maybe get a volunteer to do driving tests. Anyway, thank you very much.
Actually, there was one quick thing I was going to mention is one of our volunteer drivers actually very sensitively mentioned or asked me about 2 months ago, actually, is there the option for a volunteer driver to have like a driving assessment? And most of you will know Herts Ability in Welwyn Garden City, and I did have a chat with them once, and they did say that they might be able to sort of design something for our volunteers which is called a driving appraisal, which sounds really sensible. So not like as such where they're kind of checking up on their ability, but it's more about just giving them an appraisal. I think that's the right word to use on their driving ability and skill. So that's something we might look into as an option. It wouldn't be mandatory for our volunteers, I don't think, but it would be something that might be worth giving them the option if they wanted to have an appraisal on how they're performing.
Right, thanks very much for your answer.
Thank you. Does anybody else have any questions, maybe for the service or for the volunteers that are here? No? So I want to thank you for joining us today. This is a service with a high demand, so we really need the support of the community, volunteering to help others. And it seems that is a very flexible role that can bring you a lot of joy and social experiences, right? So take a chance to try, at least try a little bit, right? As Richard said, maybe you find yourself 20 years later still doing this job. I will also add to the chat, we have a survey, a feedback survey that we really appreciate if you can fill out about the event, just to let us know how this event was today, right? And please, if you have any questions, if you have a thought later on, feel free to contact us. We have all the information here. We also have your email addresses. We will share information with you later on in the recording. Thanks so much again, and have a great day.
Before you guys go, I just want to read, if it's okay, just want to read a quote to of the potential volunteers here from the people that we So what I can say about this scheme, what a gem, a service that really helps in time of need. We are blown away that this exists. Family and friends do not always want to travel, especially into London. We tried so many other places and we referred to you by a friend who uses the scheme. Like I said, we are blown away, you are treasures. So these are the responses and feedbacks that we get from the people that we serve here.
That's amazing. That's really nice. Thank you, everyone, on behalf of the community Hertfordshire, sorry. Hope to see you soon as a volunteer, one of our services, right? Have a great day. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.